morning, everyone, and welcome. So, trying to figure out what it is I want to do with this channel. Let me just scoot a little bit closer to the mic. Um, there's a lot of things that I suppose I need to talk about and I want to talk about. And, if you are a viewer or a listener on the podcast on the Carnival Worldwide, it's not exactly something I want to use to discuss matters outside of the initiative and the sport and the recreation and the whole plan there. Things will sort of touch on a few matters. That are kind of directly and indirectly tied to the initiative. So that's going to happen because it's aimed at so many stakeholders. Racing isn't just about spectators and racers and marshals and event organizers and track and venue owners. There are so many other stakeholders in that as well. Just off the top of my head, there's caterers, there's vendors, there's providers, suppliers, things like that. So that as a whole, the idea there isn't just to let's go and race. To touch on it a bit, the idea there is to give people insight, inform, educate, uplift, empower, and those kinds of things. And those things are all possible through opportunities that can stem from, that industry in motorsport. So, from that, there's been a lot of topics and discussion points that people have asked me to expand on. So that's kind of what this channel is meant to be about. The last few weeks, particularly yesterday and this week past, has pissed me off to no end. It's partly political, but not in the way that you think. Just trying to engage with public servants. And it's an ugly word, but only because we think of it in a certain way. But we all generally serve. We serve someone, we serve something, we serve a higher power, we serve whenever we help. So, that term public servant, to me, it's quite significant because it's self-explanatory in its own. Yet there are so many that appear to just be there for the remuneration. And, that's the perception, because they fail in so many parts of their role. And it's frustrating to see, because there's so many lives dependent on these individuals that we vote into power. So this channel is probably going to be dedicated to things that matter in life, and they are probably going to be political, because it's part of it. We can't ignore that. We can't shy away from it. We can't just, like everyone seems to do, oh no, I don't want to get involved with politics. Your whole life is driven by politics. If you can't deal with politics, then how do you deal with people? Which means that you don't deal with people. You deal with the people you can agree with. And that's kind of become the, people's lives these days. They just don't actually live. They're just going through existence. And it's very weird to use these words because, living and making a living are two very different things. You know? I mean, just listen to that again. Living and making a living are two extremely different things. And it's confusing to me. It's beyond perplexing, if you will, how there are so many people that just go through the motions and time just ticks away. And that's all it is for them. I mean, I don't know what to say, to be honest, with regards to that. I mean, it's disappointing, to be honest. It's very disappointing. Now, I mean, there are, 65 million of us in this country. And I've said before, I work on 0.001%. And that's the amount of people I want to reach. I'm not too concerned about reaching, like I've said before, I'm chasing 8 billion. But does it mean I'll ever reach 8 billion? That's what people don't understand. When I say things, it's interpreted a certain way, but people interpret it very differently to what I mean. So I may say I chase 65 million. I'm chasing 8 billion. Doesn't mean I'm ever going to reach that. But that's the goal. And that kind of is what's lacking in people. They don't either want to chase a goal because it's a lot of work. And I was having a discussion with someone this morning. People want to do as little as possible. And I was telling them, I said, well, that's human nature. I mean, who wants to work hard all their life? Especially if you're doing the same thing. You want to make it easier on yourself. You want to work smarter, as we say. I mean, when people ask me, what do? I say everything and nothing but as little as possible. And that's the reality. You've got terms like, jack of all trades, master of none. I consider myself a master, a jack master, because that's my aim. If I'm going to learn something, I want to learn how to do it to the best of my ability. And if my abilities don't match, then how do I improve my ability? I mean, we've had this discussion. I've had this discussion in forums, community forums, and it's amazing to see how many people are actually like-minded. That, you must excuse me, I'm feeling very bubble-lust because I had carbs yesterday, which I shouldn't have had. And more about that this evening at 6 o'clock if you want to tune into the Blinkbek. But, there's so many like-minded individuals, and we overlook people because of our prejudices, how we judge individuals and their situations. I mean, we complain that we are prejudiced, we are oppressed, but then we oppress. And I've made this statement as well. We waited how many years for democracy just so that we can oppress the next person. And you'll see it in many forms every day, especially from passive-aggressive people. And by that I mean you ask someone to do something, or they tell you they're going to do something and then they don't do it. Intentionally or unintentionally, mostly intentionally. That's passive aggressive. And I'm thankful for the people who do what they say they're going to do, deliver on promises. You could almost consider politicians passive aggressive individuals. We will build houses, we will do this, when they do nothing. Like this week past, a ward councillor, Ward 68, Marita Peterson. And this, don't get me wrong, none of my shows are going to be about, let's not mention this. I will mention it because it needs to be heard. Comes to an AGM for a neighborhood watch, Coniston Park neighborhood watch. And I've been engaging her since I got wind of this a waterways project by I don't know if it's a construction company or project business or whatever, Lukosi, that's doing the designs, and I'm assuming they will appoint a main contractor if they are not the main contractors, and then there will be subcontractors, and the problem already started with the project planning company. So, I just saw this by chance. Normally I get notified about issues in areas, and obviously if I'm not, I don't know much about it, but I try and keep abreast if I have time, all areas. And it was weird to me because they wanted to upgrade the waterways, and I'm thinking to myself, upgraded how? This is, knowing city and how they've gone about doing things. Something just told me, have a look at this and just focus on it and take a closer look, really. And, I'm centered around all the local forums that I was in and some of the groups, and especially among the residents, because a lot of times these things just go unnoticed, and then suddenly there's construction, and then there's an uproar, and then people want to know what's going on, and then you'll get a smug political figure, some Mako member, or a JP Smith or a Zaid Badruddin or Xanthia, whatever the hell his surname is, or some genius with a title ahead of their name, so that you must now think they're intelligent and know they're intelligent. Dr. Zaid Badruddin is a good example. So you must now fall for what they say. And I agree with some forums who've told me, they bombard you with 500 things, 495 of which are irrelevant, to blind you from what is relevant. And then you just sit there feeling lost and, powerless. But the reality is they've screwed you from the beginning. Now, I'm the kind of person that I'm woke, as people will say, on the best of days. But in the last month, I've been super woke. It's like that movie Limitless where the guy pops a pill. I'm just like on it every day, reading through thousands of pages of documentation that I get sent by these project companies when I have the time. And I'm literally speed reading. I don't have the time to sit there and read every little word. I'm looking for keywords, and I'm just going. And I just need to pick up on one thing. And then we will demolish completely whatever it is you have planned. So, I centered about trying to figure out how are these people going to be, convinced to come, to involve them. How are they going to be engaged? And, I appeared for that, or I rocked up for that public presentation by this business. I think I was the first one there, waiting. And these people arrived, and I was already asking questions. What's this about? Oh no, we're setting up all these presentations, and it's an open house, so there's no discussion. You just walk around, look at pictures. If you have queries, ask queries. And as we know, most people don't ask anything because they just don't understand. Whereas if I don't understand, I'm gonna ask a question. I don't care if I look stupid to the next person. That's fine. That's how they interpret it. I want to know, and I don't know everything. How do you think I got to know such a lot? By asking questions. So as I started asking questions, these guys slowly realized that, oh shit. They just realized that now there's going to be a bit of a problem here. Because I was like, okay, so this is picking up all of these things and you're going to filter it here. And then I started highlighting, things that I've seen as I just drive through the area, which is clearly showing or demonstrating that the residents of this specific area is a problem. Now, I've been engaging this business since middle October as one example. And then I engaged the ward councillor because I was like, firstly, I saw you arrive, you signed that you were attended. Then, and I'm going to get a bit brutal here, then you argued with what would have only been a resident or a resident within your ward, Ward 68, and then you disappeared. And I asked this question. I was like, where were you? I asked everyone in the group, said, where were all of you? Oh, we had a community death. So we had to attend a memorial. I'm sorry, that person's dead. What difference is it going to make to them about what is affecting your area? How ignorant can you be as a public servant? Or is that your intention and agenda to distract everyone? And that was like a perfect out. That's how I see it. If people die every day, people are born every day, must the world come to an end because of that? Now, people will say I'm heartless and cold and I've got a black heart, but I'm a realist. I'm alive. I would like my life to have a certain level of quality, and I sincerely hope that others who are alive have a similar desire. And I say that because how are you going to be and feel if our lives are going to be like every end of days movie? Because we didn't take a stand and, find out from the next person about what's happening in our area or what's happening in our city or province or country and just accept things. We're going to have a seriously bad time of things. Especially, because someone in the community died. Not even my family. Not even someone I'm close to. Just someone in the community. And the whole world comes to an end. Now, to me, that makes no sense. At all. So I called the ward councillor on it. And that's the excuse I got. Oh, there was a stalwart in the community. I was like, oh, is it? Are we naming a road after her? No, she walked with us in the neighborhood watch and all of this. And in the last week or 2 weeks, like 5 people died in that area. But if you look at the area, it's made up of pensioners. When I moved into that area 38 years ago, 38 years is a hell of a long time. All those people who were grown-ups then are all pensioners now. They're geriatric, for lack of a better word. They are on their deathbed, let's be real. And I know people are going to have be in uproar over it. I mean, I'm probably got what 40 years left, and then I'm gonna be on my deathbed. It is what it is. So I would like to enjoy the life that I have while I can, and while I have my knees. So I mean, so no one came to that for something that's going to turn their area into a wet wasteland. And I've taken flack for that because, how dare you? I said, F you. It's a fact. You've currently got waste trapping systems ahead of the affluent areas downstream. So you've got what's on that side? It's Westlake and obviously Muizenberg around the Zandvlei, Marina de Gama, which I'm very sure isn't naturally wet. They must have dug out those channels for the water to reach all of their homes. The homes face the water. All of those people, they live there. So they're going to benefit 24/7. We can go there from a certain time in the morning to a certain time in the evening. And then I'm very sure we will be chased away by the local law. Metro or law enforcement, it's time to pack up now, you guys have to leave, so that the people can now enjoy their clean water. Meanwhile, everywhere upstream is going to be FAF. And I mean filthy as F. Now, I mean, all these areas downstream, they're going to suffer similar things, papers blowing into a flay, or someone's car breaks down on the road and it rains and that greasy water is flushed into the stormwater, which ends up in the river and the flay. So we're dealing with a 100-plus-year-old problem that the city now wants to make certain demographics, make it their problem. The poorer communities, the communities on the Cape Flats, let's just make it their problem. No one really gives a damn. And I'm going to say specifically, Dr. Zaid Badruddin. I mean, the ward councillor Marita Peters, no one gives a damn. Kevin Southgate, Fred Monk, Eddie Andrews, all the people from or in charge of or responsible for these areas. And I mean like Retreat, Heathfield, it's a couple of wards that these rivers flow through. They come from the mountain, they get fed by the Princess Flay, they flow out to the sea. I was amazed that someone actually asked me, what direction does the water flow? And I was like, well, everything flows to the sea. Granted, I didn't know that. I should have, because I'm very sure we learned that in geography. But I wasn't conscious of it. Call it a good couple of years ago, 10, 12 years ago. I didn't really bother with which way does the water flow. So, I mean, with gravity, and not necessarily depending on the tides. Because if it's open on that end, the ocean could come in and spill over into the flay. And, naturally, I suppose that would happen. But, as human beings and as government, people change things. So, I went to this presentation and there was hardly anyone there and I'm basing it on demographics. It may come across as racist or prejudice or making an assumption, but it's a perception. I've seen many different, I can't say races because we're all one human race. I've seen many different creeds and cultures, demographics living in many areas. And if you want to get politically incorrect, black, white, colored, Indian, living in areas that would always have been, non-whites, or areas that have been black only, or areas that have been colored majority. And those terms are so vague because, I haven't seen a black person. Do we know what black looks like? It's not what most people look like. I haven't seen a rainbow colored person. All my life I've never been raised that way. I've learned that way because that is what is shoved down my throat everywhere I go. You fill out a form, oh, what race are you? Human. Aren't we all human? I mean, some of us aren't. Those that are criminals, those are hard criminals, they're not human. But the rest of us, I'm pretty sure we are human. So, I've had to adapt and, get onto a level that is on par with the majority just to be able to relate. And don't get me wrong, I don't need to. I really don't need to. I am someone that I am happy in my own skin. I am happy just getting in a car and driving with my family or alone to wherever. I'm just generally happy. I don't look it, I don't express it because why? Why do I need to post pictures of me smiling? Okay? I mean, these days people are the saddest individuals with the happiest content. I mean, win or lose, I don't care. You can see that in my channels. Epic failures or epic successes, it's all there. I mean, if you see it on the limited socials that I have, because I'm not interested in socials. I'm interested in real socializing, in person. That's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in platforms to engage. The tools are great from a utilitarian point of view. You can message anyone and get in touch and reach someone 24 hours a day. And surprisingly, people don't use it. That's probably one of the most annoying things to me. Did you send that message? Oh no, I'll send it tomorrow. Why? Send it now. It's done. Then tomorrow, if you don't get a response, you send a reminder. We'll wait for 8 o'clock. I mean, if you have a WhatsApp with me, I'm going to send you a WhatsApp 2 o'clock if I remember something. You need to take responsibility for yourself and make sure your phone is on silent or do not disturb. That's not for me to do. I've come across that all my life. People that just don't want to take responsibility for themselves, and it's my problem. You're going to hear your whole life's whatever. And I mean, now back to this. So, I asked these guys questions, and you could see that they were not prepared for the questions I had. All these waste catchment systems are being brought into the area. And as a trade-off, they're going to make the canal area a recreational space. It's going to be landscape. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a waterfront. Who in their right mind wants to spend time at a canal? I mean, I'm sorry. What do I want to do at a canal? What value is there for me to go in? Oh, let's go have a picnic at the canal. Now, if you think about it in general, it's a waterway. That's what they're calling it. It's a waterway, and the livable waterways project. To bring nature back into the area and the wetlands, and all of this just sounds like complete BS to convince people that they need to agree with this and confuse them into what's the word I'm looking for? Confuse them into this whole project that's going to completely disrupt their living space. Now, I'm just trying to do something here, and as I can see, it's impossible for me to multitask. As I've said, there is no one that can multitask, male or female. I don't care who you are. It's impossible to actively multitask. So, I've sort of asked them about, these spaces. They're going to landscape a few of them, plant grass, plant a few trees, remove other trees, put benches, which I didn't know. And to be honest, they themselves didn't know. But it was somehow confirmed that there's going to be benches there. And I'm sitting there and going, you do realize we're on the Cape Flats. We're not in Rondebosch. We're not in Blouberg, where there's a bumbling brook that is meandering through a rocky, sort of naturally landscaped space to make its way out into the ocean. We are literally in a space where canals were built to manage the water for housing. The same BS archaic mindset that the city has, which is no different to the promises made by those in power from the past for the community to say, let's build houses for the people. And there's people probably still waiting for 30 years for houses. But the canals were managed back then by means of concrete sort of sections to channel the water. I mean, if you're going to let water run along soil, it's going to create a table. It's going to populate and spread out. And, that's my thinking. I'm not specifically a canal design expert, but the water table I do know in this sort of side of the world, the Cape Flats, is quite low. You don't need to go down deep to hit water. That could have biblical significance. That could just be the layout of the land. We are at sea level, and that tells you something. If you're at sea level, there's water beneath your feet. You just can't see it. So, the water table in that area is quite low. So in my mind, I can see and understand why they would have canaled everything. Because you're going to let it run into the soil, it's just going to disperse, and it may not even reach the ocean, or it will start to saturate the land so much and eventually reach the ocean, but it may just make the land that the houses are built on unstable. There was already a case of a house that was sold for well over R1 million recently in that area that at some point was sinking. I've been to a house in that new area at the back of Coniston Park where you just dig down. I think it's not even 20 centimeters. There's water. The man said at one point in winter, his house was flooded. So, the water table in that area is no joke. You can think about Marina de Gama as an example. They've got water up into the house in each of these channels. The houses face the water. That's a nice waterfront. Now, let's use that as an example. Marina de Gama, the houses generally face the water. They are back to back. And you come out and you can see this lovely channel either in front of your home, or the front of your home is on the road and it leads to a channel, so you come out the back of your home and you can see the water. These people's houses are open to that. Go to an area like Coniston Park. None of the houses face the water. In fact, if I think about it, one probably does. And I'd love to go and investigate that and speak to that person and ask them, do you enjoy the waterfront view that you have right now of the canal? Because all you see is the back of everyone else's houses, the back of shops, the back of ShopRite, I believe, as well. Concrete and Vibercrete walls. What kind of view is that? And the ward councillor and the project plan team and the city of Cape Town and the Mako members and all these idiots, don't know what they're smoking, want to convince these people that they're going to make the space livable. Now, I can, on some level, I can see it and I can understand it. And I don't want to comment on it because some idiot is going to take it and run with it and go, yes, that's why we want to do it. No, I want to hear what these arseholes have to say. And then I will shoot from the hip with the facts. But in general, no house, if you look at that area, Coniston Park, you look at Retreat, you look at the General Steenberg, you look at, call it Kafda. People will argue that's not where Kafda starts, and the bits of Retreat into Heathfield. And, go further up to Berkfleet and Deep River and all those places, because there's two canals that form into one that run out through Zandvlei. Find me a house that faces that canal. And I guarantee you it'll probably be something you could count on one hand. Because it's a forgotten thing. It's a utilitarian. It's a service that we just need to channel the water somehow. Because like I said, if you're going to let that water dissipate into the sand, it's going to saturate the sand and you may start getting erosion. The minute it rains and it floods, you're going to get erosion. So now the city wants to make it more natural. And what's going to happen when it floods? I mean, you would think these guys are not necessarily hydro engineers, but they understand water. And I can use, the term of one of my foremen from years ago. And to be fair to him, he's not a terribly educated man, but he's good at what he does. And his simple statement amongst learned colleagues was, water is 'n lelike ding. And they all look confused when he says it. But over that 5-year project, it was proven. Water. And then you add gravity into the mix. I mean, something bursts on 5th floor. Whatever work beneath that was done is now gone. And somewhere, somehow, it may drain out of that space. If you've made provision for that. But otherwise, it's a cleanup process and you're going to have to redo works or condemn work and demolish and start again. But he wasn't wrong. Water is 'n lelike ding. Now, I mean, I don't know, I sound like Captain Planet here because the last couple of years I've been playing with earth, wind, water and fire with my black heart. And I've been focusing on fire, most notably for the motorsports initiative. Because that's what's most likely going to go wrong. Something's going to burst into flames. How do we deal with it? How do we manage that? Do we understand fire? But in this case, water is the issue. And a mix of water and soil and wind. I mean, we've seen what happens to the Sea Point area and to these coastal areas when there's, a storm and there's heavy winds and high tides. And if you don't have the correct systems and structures in place, you can kiss your homes goodbye. Some of you may, kiss your lives goodbye. But that's what City wants to do. They want to make the waterways livable. But that to me looks like, for the lack of a better word, an eye blind. A level to mark. Because I raised the point, I said, you're bringing all of these trapping systems into an area. So it's going to catch the waste there. Yes, that's 100% correct. I say, yes. So you're turning that area into a wasteland. No, but you misunderstand. I said, no, I don't misunderstand, because show me where the city is currently doing maintenance. And it just so happens last week I was sent pictures, actually, no, this week I was sent pictures by one of the area's representatives to show that, they're cleaning the canal. It looked very different to the photos I took a few weeks ago when I surveyed the area to prove my point. So somewhere, someone is now suddenly doing it, and now you've got people defending them as well. No, but they do it regularly. I said, okay, be careful of what you tell me, because I will make a note of it. So what is regular? To me, I'm going to watch and see. Is this place getting filthy? Has someone dumped? Okay. Where's the people to come and clean it? What is regular? Now I'm going to go and find out who or what that team was. Who commissioned them to do the work. And I can't... I don't often like to say, it's because of me, because I don't really care. But I guarantee you it's because of something that I sent or raised. Because I have no filter. So there's no one that's doing anything about it. Place is filthy, and suddenly people are just there cleaning it specifically. But, the long grass, the tall grass around there is preventing other things from blowing into the canal. So that's a good thing. Now, if the maintenance is so poor, 30 years into democracy, what makes us think it's going to be any different once this waterways project is done? So now you're sitting with all the waste specifically pulled into the area, because there's a waste trapping system that they want to build next to someone's house. How would you feel? So all the solid stuff that can't, get caught, or it will be caught rather, will end up there. Varying sizes. And, the smaller it gets, the more filtering systems there are, which in principle sounds great. So the first one will catch tires. The next one will catch the TV sets. Then thereafter it will catch small bits of wood and stick and, other solids that were thrown into the canal. But listen to what I'm saying. It was thrown into the canal. So why is that not being policed? We've got a 50 million rand project that is going to be sort of implemented to attempt to clean the water downstream. So everywhere after these trapping systems is, in theory, going to be cleaner. Everywhere downstream of those areas are more affluent areas. So who is that actually going to benefit? You want to use the arguments over the wildlife, nature, ecological reasons. The very term ecology relates to plants and all animals living in an ecosystem or in some system, not just plants and birds. We are also animal. So we, as a small demographic, ahead of all of these trapping systems, we must come to a wasteland. And then we must also go and sit at that wasteland and enjoy the fresh water and air, which there won't be, because we are ahead of the trapping system. That's all I saw in the designs. And I took pictures of everything. But it pains me that the people in that area don't see it. And it's as if you've got a select few, for whatever their reason or agenda is, agreeing with all of these people. I mean, I saw a post the other day, this one guy, the Zandvlei Trust, the David, the chairperson, he knows what he's talking about because he's a qualified, whatever the hell he's qualified in. I can honestly say, people I've come up against in court, qualified engineers, 40 plus years experience, but they could have been bad at it all these years. They could have been exceptionally crap at doing their job, but they qualified. And that's something I can't tolerate. I can't stand dealing with people that want to look for qualifications. Because what qualifies any individual as being competent enough to say or do what it is they are discussing? You can ask the same of me. I'm just a concerned citizen. What qualifies me? But we have senses. I mean, if I'm going to walk down a street and I smell something that I don't agree with, most likely the majority of other people are going to agree with that smell. It's something undesirable. It might be something that's specific to me. So I may not like the smell of it, but the next person will go, oh, it's the best baked bread in the world. I may see something that doesn't agree with me. I may hear something that doesn't agree with me. I may feel something that doesn't agree with me. Something may fly in my mouth and I'm like, oh, what the hell is that? It may not agree with me. That and what people like to term a sixth sense, that gut feeling. I can't say I have a gut feeling. I just focus on the senses that I'm cognizant of. But the majority of people are most likely going to agree with those. If you walk down a road and you see something you don't like, your neighbors, your friends, your people walking with you will most likely agree with you. You see someone being stabbed, if you agree with that, then you agree with the person doing the crime. If you don't agree with it, then the balance, who are not criminals. I mean, it can go either way. It's like I heard a few weeks ago in a session, and it was so true, that you get good and you get bad, but you get bad that could be good or bad, and you get good that could be good or bad. So it's pointless being a good leader, but you're bad at it. By that I mean you paint yourself as the savior of the people, the DA, for instance. You're the good party. Or Patricia, you're the good party, but you're bad at it. That adds value to nothing and no one. And likewise, you've got a gangster, a gang leader. He's bad. But if he's good at it, you can't fault him. So you can get good and bad leadership. I mean, a bad gangster is probably not going to survive very well or long. But you can't just look at it and say, oh, this is a good person. What does that mean? They could be bad at that. I don't consider myself a good person because I do wrong. But my wrong's not unjustified. At all. I can look back and I don't regret a single thing that I've done or said or been through. And it may feel like that at times, but ultimately where I am today is where I need to be. And that's just how and what I believe. Things happen for a reason. Things transpire and progress for a reason. And a lot of people can't deal with that and they can't manage that, and it eats at them. Why worry about what you can't control? You're killing yourself by doing that. But here as an example, we've got this project coming into an area that people can control, but no one is doing anything about it. Or the majority isn't. Now, after that whole session a few weeks ago, I started asking more questions and started engaging with that community. And it's exceptionally hard in that area because everyone's got a closed gate policy. Closed door. Wie's jy? Ek wil nie jou praat nie. Wat wil jy hê? And I'm like, okay. That area's got a problem of elitism, something I discussed on my other channel. And that's probably what led to this channel, because I don't want to be discussing things like that on there. Although it had some relevance, in general, I mean, What relevance does it have to the sport? But that's all I see when I see that area, Coniston Park. It's an area that was built for people that thought they were better than the rest. And I mean, these people come from Ocean View, they come from Lavendale, Vrygrond, Capricorn, Retreat, Steenberg, to move here. From Mitchell's Plain, they moved here. And if I must think back over the 38 years, there were, individuals that you could see didn't belong here. They were good people. But they probably thought this would be a good area. And it is a good area. I mean, you go into that area, you'll see plants, trees, birds. There's a good ecosystem currently. Compare that to Lavendale. And I've got a theory. I mean, go and pick any area on the Cape Flats where there's trees. People just seem to be happier. The area is more relaxed. The people, the quality of life is better. Compare that to where there's nothing. So, I mean, compare Coniston Park to Lavendale, to Steenberg. Look at the area makeup. Where there's grass and trees, the people are just more relaxed. Where there's nothing but gravel and tar and filth, there are social ills. Now, I mean, you can't tell me I'm the first one to register this. Pick another area, Mannenberg. Compare Mannenberg to Heideveld. And even compare Heideveld, some sections of that, to the areas closer to the N7, where there are trees, parks, grass, lawns. It's like day and night, chalk and cheese. Compare Bonteheuwel. And even within Bonteheuwel, there are areas where there's some trees. It just makes the area a lot more appealing. That's our connection to an ecosystem. That's our connection to ecology. That's human nature. We want to be around it. But projects like this, waterways that they're doing, and I believe all of the projects were put on hold except this one. This is the one where they're starting, or they may have done this in Rondebosch and then COVID hit, whatever the case may be. I've still got thousands of pages to read through. And so far I've found nothing that actually adds value. But, again I say, they want to bring these systems into an area to benefit the few downstream. Because some are going to say, we'll all benefit. Yes, but that benefit is time limited, time restricted. But for the rest who live there, they benefit. The canals in front, the channels in front of their houses in Marina are cleaner, so they can enjoy the water and the flay. I mean, the same thing happened in Tableview. By I can't remember the name of that flay now. Polluted. And then everyone's in an uproar because it's in a fancy area. Who benefits from that water? Not everyone. Willow Bridge, I think, is another one. Polluted. Comes from that flay out into the ocean. Sewage spilled into that flay out into the ocean. That whole area, you want to swim in that. I mean, it was a good couple of years ago when I realized that the sewage actually spills out into the ocean. It's supposedly very limited in terms of the number of effluents per whatever measurement they use. But it gets processed at the sewage works. What is left over after it's chemically treated is supposedly water that flows into the canal. And then from there it flows, or it spills over to the canal in some cases, and it flows out into the ocean. Or in the case of Zikkervlei, another area where people think they are better than the rest. Pelican Park is practically on Zikkervlei. Pelican Heights, another area where people think they are better than the rest. Listen to the name. Pelican Heights, Coniston Park, Grassy Park. And I know some people are going to take offense to that, but, Grassy Park sounds a lot better than Lotus River. I mean, what's that area close to Grassy Park, between Fairways and Grassy Park? But that's also another stark comparison. Across from Fairways, you wouldn't, and that's, compact housing or high volume housing, whatever you want to call it, the flats. Look at how that looks compared to Fairways. Trees, parks, wind blowing, lovely noises, birds chirping, structured roads, structured housing. You can hear the birds chirping. I mean, the government wants to turn those areas into wastelands for the benefit of a few. Now, I mean, I caused such an uproar that the ward councillor, I'm assuming I wasn't alone, I hope I wasn't alone, called for an urgent meeting. And I pressured her to such a degree that she took up some time at one of the neighborhood watches AGMs, which I also attended. Another example of problem people. And she hadn't given a date for an actual meeting, but she insisted that she sent me a date, to which I call BS, absolute BS. But she's on record as saying, "Now check your phone. I sent you something. You sent me jack. Absolute nothing." But a date was mentioned in that meeting. And that date was now Tuesday past, the 29th of October. We'll get to that. But I was like, well, fine. Since we have a date, there's no need to discuss anything here. We're going to waste these people's time because they have an AGM. So let's not hash that here. But the reason why I say this, there's an agenda at play, because it just seems and feels so secretive what's happening in that area. People don't want to talk about what is going on. They don't want to, give you insight into what's happening. They're just saying nothing. And that's a worry for me. That's something that I'll go and investigate a bit deeper, because, some things at play. And don't get me wrong. If you did something 5 years ago, 10, 15, 20 years ago, I'll dig it up. Your only way out is if you die, because then we're going to hold responsible. But other than that, I'm going to hold you responsible. So, I requested information from this company doing the design, planning, architecture, whatever the case may be. Only to discover that everywhere they put notices was in papers outside the area. Papers that would never reach the area. So how is that fair? I mean, that's beyond prejudice. That's probably one of the reasons why I never saw any information or got given any information to say, hey, this is coming. So the communication was poor, is poor. To this day, still is poor from everyone. And again, I say this with regards to public servants. I've engaged with the ward council and I've asked, I said, well, how are you communicating? Oh, no, we communicate on our Facebook page. I said, look, let's be real. This is a third world country. And I see a lot of people are using that term nowadays. So, I'm probably the most connected person in the world. And that's my choice. Because I don't want to live my life by technology unless it can add value. So, my thing is, how are you getting this information? I know we're sending it via mail, and in the same sentence, she says, oh, that system hasn't been working for a while. So it proves my point. How are you communicating with the community? No, you're communicating to a handful within your committee in the hopes that they communicate to the third, if that, of the people on their groups. So what about the other 2/3? Now we'll make that up with the people outside the community. Because I looked at all those registers. I can't tell a single resident from the affected areas that would have attended that. And if there are, I can probably count them on my 2 hands. Meetings were held in Alphen, at the Alphen Hall. That's nowhere near Retreat, Steenberg. That to me sounds like Southfield, Alphendale, Deep River, Heathfield side, on that end. Constantiaberg Hall. Okay, that sounds like it's close. It could be close. There's stuff Constantiaberg on, the side of Retreat, Steenberg to Kai, Kirstenhof. But what of the 500 households? How many of those people are going to be able to drive to there? Maybe they're going to carpool. But how many of them actually knew about these things if they were put in newspapers that don't reach the area? Now, these people put that out in the report that they put together, and they still tell me, check the report. All the information is there. All the information is absolute BS. So now you state the obvious things and they don't have answers for that. Like you're going to landscape the space where all the dirty water is going to be. And downstream of that is where the trapping system is going to be next to someone's house. And then failing that trapping system is going to spill over into a swale, which is going to hold the water. Everything that's more dense in the water is going to sink. And what gets filtered out will be clean water. But it's going to sink to a point where it can't anymore. It's going to hit the soil. Then the water is going to filter through that as one example. The water is going to sort of flow off as another example. And that should technically filter the water. However it may be, like I said, I'm not super technical on that, but the logic to me is, put some sand in water and see what happens once it settles. And then try and drain that water and see how it drains through the soil and what comes out. You'll probably get a lot cleaner water. Maybe not something you can drink, non-potable, but do that experiment for yourself. Maybe I'll do one and I'll post it up as a video for people to watch. So that's what they want to use. They want to use the land to filter the water so that the water going downstream to the Zandvlei is cleaner. Again, I say, for the benefit of those using the area. So you've got nature walks. And I went to one of these. The gate was still open. I went in and I was told it's closed. I must leave. That proves my point. That proves exactly what I said about everyone's benefit is time restricted. Whereas when I got onto that Zandvlei Reserve, I could look straight into a house in Marina de Gama. But they're on that side of the fence, so they benefit. I don't understand how we let these people that we put into power screw us over like this. And I made a statement on my status where I said that these public servants come from these impoverished areas. Eddie Andrews is an example. Fadil Adams is an example. I was told the other day, Gayton McKenzie had family living in this area. But now that they're in office, I'd love to see them walk through here. I made the statement of Jordan Hill Lewis. When it was voting time, he was all up in Grassy Park with 40 police around him. Walk in that area alone, man. Can you? No, you can't. So you are not a person of the people. You are a person of a certain demographic, yes. You'll probably go and walk in Bishop's Court like that. But you are not a true person of the people. But then what's even worse is the people of the people. They're not interested. As they say, kyk hoe kam jy nou jou hare. It's one example. They change. I'm thankful I haven't changed. I've been a dwarf my entire life. But with good reason and justified. And it's become a bit of a joke where people have said, why don't you get into politics? And I laughed it off a few years ago. And recently I've actually been saying, you know what? Maybe I should. Because it's going to be hellfire and brimstone. And I honestly don't care. People will come at you with stories. They'll try and dig up dirt. You can dig what you want. You best have all the facts or I'm going to destroy you. So, do I get into politics? I don't know. I'm kind of getting excited just at the thought of it. Just at the prospect of it, going, take down all these assholes that pledged to do good for the people. But it seems to me like most of them are just ingratiating themselves to sections and groups of people. Most notably and most recently, Gayton McKenzie. Most vocally, the loudest of them all. That's his strategy. Let me go and engage the vulnerable people in the spinning community. And already there it's coming apart at the seams. If you look at it on a low level. On a high level, it's great. 15 million, what's it now? 5, 10, 15 million of sponsorship. We're going to make it professional. I don't think people realize the word in reality. That doesn't mean anything except you are being paid to do it. And that's the term they used. We're going to pay these people. Now you've got to specify, is this a monthly stipend, a salary, a wage, or an amount per event? What are we expecting here to come from professionality? We're professionals, as I stated. Doesn't mean you're good at it. Doesn't mean you're the best in the world. It just means you pay to do it. You get a lot of people, I'm a professional plumber. Did you maybe want to use the word qualified, certified, competent? Because professional means nothing other than you're getting paid to do it. And also another argument that I use in court quite often. They love it when people say, I'm a professional. What does that mean? Open that up for me. Open that can of worms and I will start to pull out the dockets. Let's go through your professionalism. Failure here, failure there, failure here. What is professional about you? The money that you get paid. I love it when people say that. And most notably, people that think they've made it and now think they are better than the rest. They are elite. They are the best in their mind. But in reality, they think they're better than the rest. They're professional. Man, the guy sweeping the street is a professional. And he's probably a better person than the person coming outright saying, I'm a professional. This is everything that's on my mind. So it's coming out in a mishmash, but it will make sense to you as you listen to it. And I have to get back to this whole thing. A meeting was set for this week, Tuesday. I cleared my schedule, right? But no details were sent out as was promised. Notices will be sent. I was keen to know how. And like I said, I did a survey, 500 households. I even engaged with people handing out pamphlets and flyers to ask them, how long it takes them to walk the area, how much they would charge. These are the flyers I want to put into everyone's households. And then when I heard where they were from, I was like, okay, well, I've got another motorsport project that I may want you to do as well. And you can do that on your own time when you're at home, and I'll pay you for that. But No notices from the ward councillor. Okay. I engage the ward councillor. Is the meeting still on? I've got a date, I didn't get a time and a confirmed location. I'm assuming it's at your offices. Oh, things didn't pan out, she says, at the new meeting that is the 4th. So, okay. I do my duty as a civilian. I say, thank you. Not a problem. At least I know. I don't have to worry about tonight. Screenshot it, send it on to one of the groups that is touted as the engagement group for the area. Place that on there the afternoon. Now, I've been on other groups that I left where I know there are people between these two platforms, Telegram and WhatsApp. So if you really are, like people love to tell me, why don't you get involved? These are the very people that don't even do the simplest of things of forwarding it from one platform to the other, because they are on both. It falls upon deaf ears to a certain few who were at the AGM and ended up going to stand at the ward councillor's office waiting for the meeting. And I saw messages very late asking me, hi, is this Dominic? And, we're looking for the ward councillor. Is there a meeting tonight? And I said, no, the meeting was cancelled. I sent out a notice this afternoon on the ratepayers group. Oh, but we didn't know because we're not on that group. We're on WhatsApp. So I was like, now, one community, man. One community. You don't have a platform that you all share. But, as I said, there are groups of people who do share those, and those people didn't think to convey that message. Now, I said it yesterday, community and communication. If you break those words down, it implies something that is shared. And that automatically implies by more than one person, because you can't share something with yourself. You share it with more than one person. So these are the people that make up the community, that are most likely the people pointing fingers at me all the years and other individuals. Yeah, why don't you get involved? Okay, well, you are involved. Why don't you do something about your involvement? Now, that to me is hugely disappointing. I'm disappointed in those people as human beings. That is sad and pathetic. That the information didn't reach people in time to know that it's now the 4th of November. Well, so we say. The ward councillor is apparently going to send flyers out. I would love to see that. It's the same promise I was made 3 years ago when I went to a meeting to discuss a specific road closure, and I said, I would like to do racing on the road. The road's going to be resurfaced in the coming years. It needs to be. So, logically, we cannot close an opening that allows us ingress and egress to the area. I mean, if I feel like coming into the area because it's still where my postal address is, I must now sit and suffer in traffic because, again, within the area, a minority is benefiting. And that minority is now, running a business from home and takes up that whole space because it's now a cul-de-sac to park all his clients' cars or his scrap cars or whatever the case may be, as an example. So 499 plus households must suffer because one is benefiting by the road being closed. How does that make sense in the real world? And then you've got a ward councillor who made the statement. I must actually go and play that back. Made the statement, you are the most indecisive community I've come across. I was like, oh my word. Here we go again with elaborate words and chastising. And this is really what we need from a community leader or representative. And, at that meeting 3 years ago, I said, well, this is not on. This is not going to work. And I was promised no, we need to have another meeting and I'm going to send out flyers to everyone so we can have a better representation at this meeting. Ek wag nou nog dat iemand vir my 'n foto van die flyers stuur vir die vergadering. But she was adamant the meeting was had and a decision was made. I was like, oh, is it? Prove to me. Now there's no proof that can be given. So I said, well, I'm very sorry. I am going to oppose that like you won't believe because you have lied. You have not delivered on a promise. Where are those flyers that you sent? Surely you should have your backup, your record. No, here's what we sent. It was signed off. It was handed out. Okay, so did the people hand it out? Did they just dump it down somewhere and go and collect their cash for handing it out? Where's the proof of all of these things? I mean, we need to hold these people accountable. We do nothing. We don't vote. Or if we do vote, we duped into voting for these people. They screw us over. We complain. And I'm only saying we out of solidarity. Because I'm not the one suffering. But my suffering is because of your suffering. I can't stand to see that. But, as they say, you can only lead a horse to water. There comes a point where I'm going to turn around and say, I've done my bit, my civic duty to try and help you. But you don't want to do anything. So then, suffer the wasteland, as an example. Suffer the frustration. Now, I mean, in that area, people complain about the weirdest of things. People were interrupting my conversation that had nothing to do with their conversation to get a point across that just made me see them as ignorant and remedial. You're having a conversation, but you're clearly eavesdropping on mine. Focus on yours. Because all you're doing is being allowed to draw attention to you. I didn't hear a single thing you spoke about. Because I'm engaged in a conversation about the merits of the project at hand. So that area in particular, people complaining about thoroughfare. People are walking through our areas, and the people at Marina Gama closed off their areas, so now all these people are walking through our areas to get to Capricorn and Vrygrond and all of these things, and that's why they want the road closed. But they don't realize that, like most other areas, even Marina Gama, it's not a gated community. There's limited ingress and egress yet. And there's a security boom, but you can go and drive in wherever. There's no gate. So they want to just put up walls. And I've seen some of the walls in that area, where there used to be a thoroughfare, which in my childhood I also used. And yes, like things being good, things can be bad. So criminals can use that as well. And criminals do. I mean, when I did that survey a few weeks ago, people are doing drugs by the canal. They're doing drugs by the corner of this and that road. They're just sitting and loitering. They're just wasting time. They're wasting oxygen, to be honest with you as well. So I can hear the community's points, and I agree. Why would you put benches in a space that is currently being used for crime? Why would you put lights in the area to facilitate the crime? It's behind houses. No one is looking that way. It's a forgotten space for a reason. There is no value in it, but the city wants to convince us that there can be value. I mean, part of the project is, I think, Sheridan Park. Part of the canal that is still part of Coniston Park is going to be landscaped as a waterfront. Kind of like that open air theater in the waterfront behind the mall, where you can go and sit and watch some form of art and culture. They're going to do that. Stadium type seating and stepping. So the people from Sheridan Park must go there. Don't come to Zandvlei. That's all I see. Don't come to Zandvlei. Stay in your area and go and stare at the canal. And it's most likely going to be poorly maintained, so it will become a perfect crime hotspot. So Go and make yourself vulnerable. That's all I see. Go to Coniston Park, go and sit around the canal where no one is watching that space because everyone's back walls face that canal. A resident sent me an idea that he had, and I'm not going to say I also had that idea. He sent me an idea to close all the open spots, and it's logical. When I walked it, I was like, these people are forgetting how many openings there are, and I've seen one or two was closed. Don't know who closed it, don't know who paid for it. Maybe the community did. They just put it up, and city will probably come and tear it down at some point. But there are so many gaps. But ultimately, all they're going to do is just funnel people out the space that's been closed to vehicular traffic. So yes, that needs to be closed, but because it's a road, it doesn't make sense to permanently close it. You could put gates there, automated, for the residents to benefit. That benefits 500 households. You may not have a vehicle, but you may want to come in, so, here's your gate key as a resident. That makes more logical sense, maar die mense sien nie daai nie, want hulle wil net hê wat vir hulle werk. And again, that back area is not the majority of the area. In fact, that back area was an afterthought. It wasn't even part of the original project. And I've got those papers to the project. So, we've got these, it's called a NIMBY culture. Not in my backyard. That's where most of it stems from. But further than that, the argument just falls flat. Now, this is a case that can probably be applied to almost every area on the Cape Flats. And like I detailed, go and look at areas and go and see where there are trees and where there aren't trees. And you'll most likely see where there aren't trees and there isn't life blossoming in terms of nature and wildlife and the bird ecologies and whatever the case may be, you'll probably find an increased amount of social ills. As I'm looking out now, suddenly there's 4 birds just landed, chirping away. You can hear it in the background, I'm sure. Now, compare this to Lavendale. Compare this to Menenberg. Compare this to Bonteheuwel. Compare to Langa, Nyanga, Guguletu, Khayelitsha. And even in those areas where there's some gardening taking place, where there's some trees and some greenery, it just feels a lot better. I've driven through all of those areas. I don't know if I can still do it now, but call it in the last 4 years at least, before COVID, when things were normal. And some of these areas have really good spots, if you will. If that could expand to the rest of it, it would make everyone's life, their quality of life, it would increase it 10, 20, 30-fold. Guarantee you. It's not something we generally take note of. It's something we take for granted, but inherent in our genetics. It'll be something that we'd want to see or we'd be wowed by. I'm staring at a photo of a family of elephants, and just the look of that is appealing to me. I want to go there. Watch it in person, and I've done that. How many people can say that? I'm seeing pictures of giraffe in the background of that blown up photo. How many people have had that experience? And we may not get that in our backyard. Well, we have, I think, baboons roaming Vanguard and lions in the Cape Flats and all of this other BS. But, to be serious, if we're going to just shy away because I don't want to get involved in politics, then spare us all the oxygen and leave the planet, man. And it's those people And a lot of people say it, but there's a specific few. It's those that want to complain the loudest, but to no one. Amongst their friends and their social circles, but not to people that can actually make a change. Even amongst most of these communities. Oh, SAPS is useless. But then when you go to SAPS, they have no idea because they can only react. They can't proactively police. Visible policing is not really a useful thing. You may or may not catch someone, but they see you coming, suddenly the area is safe. These law enforcement agencies depend on reports to react. So if they get nothing from an area, to them, that area is safe. I've had that experience. Coming to the area in one morning, see a van, stop him and ask him, sir, the crime in this area is ridiculous. No, but that's impossible. This is a safe area. Because there's no statistics at their police station. Now, these things stem from, like I said, many stakeholder issues. We've got people that don't want to get involved in politics. We've got people that, don't want to deal with the systems in place for their benefit. Then you've got the morons that we put into positions of power in office that, are doing what politicians do. They divide people, otherwise they wouldn't get votes. What good are you going to do on the Mako board if you don't have any supporters? You're not going to get your way. And that's all it is, their way. They need to get support. So how better than dividing the people to carve up that support? What do you think Gayton's doing? What do you think all these individuals are doing? They are just ingratiating themselves unto the people. En die mense sien dit nie. Right? I engaged Gayton when he was mayor of Beaufort West about drag racing out there. And he, through his office, liked the idea. Now, whether that's true, I don't know because I never spoke to him. I spoke to his representatives. They wanted more information. We were engaged with buying land because the land was cheap. Speaking to the city plan or the town planner and finding a space that we could utilize or finding private land that we could buy and build a track. That was the initial phases, which wasn't the primary objective at the stage. It was like a phase 4 or 5 down the line. Because to the point we have roads that we can race on. And I know a lot of people love to say it's impossible, but it happens in the Northern Cape. It happened in KZN. It happened in the Western Cape. In fact, it happened a year ago. So again, city can do it, but the people can't. But the city is there because of the people voting for them. They serve us. Waar slaap ons? So I've got a session on the 2nd of November that I want to attend. I've got a meeting on the 4th that I want to attend. Cities are having their first Thursdays on the 7th, and on that day apparently there's 2 other AGMs as well. So I don't know how people schedule things. But all these things I'd love to attend. It would be great if there were more people. But it looks to me like the communication, first there's an issue there. Once that is sorted out, then I can honestly say, yes, now people aren't interested. Because now that's the argument. Yeah, we call these things and no one comes. Where are you calling it? Because I've proven time after time that there is a break in the communication. Just this week we proved that. If everyone was in the know, no one would have been standing there waiting for the ward councillor. And, again, she's just proven that there's an agenda because deadlines were set for 25th of October and for the 30th of October for a handful of things, most notably the municipal planning bylaw and this waterways for commentary. And thankfully it's still in the early phases. And thankfully there are organizations that care and individuals that care enough to raise a flag and call BS on all of these things. But, you call a meeting a day before the deadline and suddenly there's no meeting, but no one knows about it. Now you call one after the deadline. What good is that for the deadline? Marita Peterson She's many things, but useful in her role is not one of them. Maybe to a select few. Maybe to a portion of the ward or a community within that ward. But I am pretty sure there are more failings than successes. But she may argue differently. But I mean, just this week it was proven. Poor communication because no one knew. 10 people rocked up apparently. Poor communication because they also didn't know that it was cancelled and postponed rather to the 4th. And there's mixed information from the supposed leaders within that area. I get dates and locations. Other people say, oh, but it hasn't been decided. I'm sitting there going, if I go there on the 7th and there's nothing, then I'm going to rip these people apart in public, in the public eye, and there will be nowhere to hide. And I'll be doing it justifiably, with damn good reason. I mean, all these things have been playing on my mind the last few weeks, Never mind the other things I have to deal with, the private things, the personal things, which are also public. And I'm more worried about the community things. I have broad shoulders. I'm a duck in water. It's water off my back for my things. I know the outcomes there. And either way, even if it's not in my favor, it's still in my favor. People don't seem to understand that. But the community matters have always been dear to me. That's the only reason I started my other channel for the motorsport things. It didn't benefit me. I could have taken all my money and finished my race cars and enjoyed myself like I have been since 2008. But there is so much more that can be achieved. And it's sad to see that people want you to succeed, but not more than them, firstly. And it's sad to see that you get no support, but you get all the congratulations. So how genuine is that? Now, I mean, everything I do is an exercise and a test, and I've done this exercise specifically. No one can say that I haven't given people the chance, the opportunity. And those that have obliged, they are welcome. I've put it out there, they responded. That's all we need. Let's focus on working together. The rest, excuses. That's all I hear. And that brings me back to probably what set me off in having this podcast this morning. I attended Western Cape Government and City of Cape Town's first Thursdays last month, which I didn't even know what it was. It was just posted in a forum, and I was like, oh, well, that's good to see. Mako members and JP Smith should be there. I need to go to this. So, I head to it in Grassy Park. Amazing stuff. The entire police force was there. So if you want to do a race on the streets, and I think I even sent out that notification, guys, tonight's the perfect night to go out and race. Because everyone is here in Grassy Park. So wherever you want to go and race outside Grassy Park, go ahead. Is that wrong of me? Maybe. But am I unjustified? Hell no. Because we've engaged with the city. Can we race on the street? That's what you said you want. You want us to get authorization? No, you can't. But then you do it. So either way. Call me flippant. I'll be flippant with good reason. So I go to this thing, and like I said, there's the mayor, there's the premier being condescending in the engagement of the community. That's all I saw. A bunch of people standing over seated numbers and saying dumb shit. Maybe they felt like they were part of the community now, but all I heard in the words was like, you condescending pricks. So either way, I got asked who I want to see, and I was like, well, I just want to see the Sports, Arts and Culture Shadow Minister, which just happened to be Ricardo McKenzie. And I jokingly asked him, are you Gayton's family? And he's like, no, 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 no. But it's just a coincidence that they share the same name. So either way, engaged with them, gave them what I'm busy with. Didn't ask for an answer, just asked to open the channel of communication. Now, if you know me, you know that that's what I do. That was the opportunity. If they do nothing, I just move on. When people come running, oh, but you didn't, I'm sorry, no. I was there to engage. Nothing came of it. So tough. The same with all these guys within these facets. Again, I'm going to digress a bit. Spinning, drifting, gymkhana, drags. I engage with all of them. Nobody wants to collaborate? Fine, I'll do it myself. It's not like I haven't been successful in being part of eventing, or haven't been successful in organizing events amongst the committee. And I've learned from all of that. What more is there to do? Easy. And I'll prove that. So, on that night, I was quite impressed. There was a forum and a platform for people to engage, but the wrong people were there. Not all of them, but the majority of the wrong people were there. People that just wanted to be loud. What value they were adding, only they know. Because I didn't see the value in what they were trying to add. And there were others, it made sense that they were there. Now, when I was done with my business, I had to get home to do my evening pitcast for about 8 o'clock. And I made it in time. But not after seeing the mayor being hauled out by the community to answer questions. And I'm sitting there going, what value is this adding? And why didn't you come and sit and engage with him? And then I started to sort of ask the staff there, is this a monthly thing or what's happening? And that's when they told me it's first Thursdays. It's been happening since 2019. I didn't know. Now, as connected as I am, like I said, I'm not going to waste my time sitting for information, waiting for a phone call, waiting for a message. I've got things to do. But, meaningful communication is communication that reaches the intended audience. How are you going to reach someone like me? And I'm the most connected person in the world. Which means your platforms are wrong. Your mediums are wrong. Oh, but it's on Facebook. Great. So now I must go and look for you on Facebook. The platform is useless. Their sister platform is a lot better because you can engage with people directly in groups. But even then, how do you reach those people? You need to put in the effort to get to those people and bring the information to them. Imagine me saying, oh guys, but I have a channel. Why is no one watching? It's not their job to look for my channel. It may get fed to them with whatever these algorithms are if they search for something, but you're not going to reach everyone like that. You're going to reach a handful or a certain demographic which is like-minded and has that appeal. They're going to search for argument's sake, live drag racing, or food, or health, or lifestyle, or politics. Then they're only going to come across it. But it's your duty to take that to the people. So I'm not complaining about my channel. I've said specifically I have a strategy. People can't understand it, but that's not my problem. I don't want fluff subscribers. I want those who are genuinely interested. And that's my job to go and reach those people. And then from there, hopefully it spreads by word of mouth. And even then, it still won't reach everyone. I need to go and cement that by saying, okay, well, now we've done it in this area. Let's move to the next area. Let's find the spaces where the community is. I mean, the other day I asked one of the shop owners, do you mind if I put up a flyer here about the motorsport stuff? No, but you can do it outside. And I got 2 people asking me, oh, what is this about? Otherwise, they wouldn't have known if I didn't mention it. So, I heard from the colleague that, I know this is a monthly thing. First Thursday of every month. And the next one is in November on the 7th. Right? Where? In town. Okay, it's a bit of a trip, but I will make that trip. Not everyone can. I mean, you probably could take a train, but then it's dark. It's going to be unsafe to get home. But I'll make that effort. So that date's been on my calendar since the last one in October. But I haven't seen any confirmation via flyer or anything like what I saw in October. And this brings me to my engagement yesterday with a Haley Root and a Bianca Capazorio. It's going to be relevant in a few moments. So I find these details searching for First Thursdays Cape Town. Right? And the internet is written in ink. But that also means that there are things that may change over time. So I don't know. I just send it to everyone. Those are the contact details I find. So, okay, I ask, is this taking place next week? I'm struggling to find any media for this that I can share within communities. On which platforms does City of Cape Town and Western Cape government promote this? This is to Haley Root. Now, to be blunt, she's in the Western Cape government. She's a public servant. I don't need to be dealing with a politician or a ward councillor. Everyone that works in these organizations, from the truck drivers to the water maids, water meters, individuals, whatever the case may be, parking of attendants in town, whatever, all public servants. So I get a response. It is taking place, yes. The open invitation goes out on the Western Cape Government and the City of Cape Town web pages at least 3 days before the event. It is 7 days, was 7 days before the event yesterday. So it clearly hasn't gone out yet because she says it goes out. So it's not going to go out on the 4th, which is next week. Now, I know what I'm doing next year. My calendar is set. Whether it happens or not, that's a different story. But my calendar is set. So that might be good news for some of you, and some of you might be confused about what that means, but if you follow, you'll know. And then she directs me to, for news on future events, please give the Premier's Facebook page a follow. Okay? I suppose that's something I could have thought of. But again, where's the value for me? For someone like me, I'm not the one suffering. Let me be very blunt and clear there. I'm never someone to suffer. Maybe in some small way into something, and then I'll say, well, I don't have time for this. It's a waste of my time because I'm suffering. Duh. And I'll find a different avenue. So, Alan Windey doesn't affect me. In apartheid, when the ANC ruled Cape Town in the Western Cape, with the DA's rule, my life has been no better, no worse. My life has been determined by me. So, okay, I now need to follow the Premier's Facebook page for information. That is such a backward way of engagement, because the Premier has no way of reaching me. Now, I know how to reach people. Some of it's very obvious. The fact that these people who are learned in the position to employ individuals that can specialize in this resort to that. Follow the Premier's Facebook page. Now, okay. Maybe I should, and I will. But thankfully, she also attached the invitation for next week. Great. So, I respond with, well, there's the problem. And I say, if not for your colleague at the last event, I would most certainly never have penciled it in for November. I wouldn't have known. I would have just gone, okay, well, that was my engagement, and off I go and forget about it. But, I thought to ask, does this happen regularly? And I said 3 days notice is not good. It's not good communication. That is a concern. And I said I'll have a look for Alan's Facebook page, and I since then I actually haven't. So, maybe I remember when I'm done with this, I'll go and do that. Thank you for attaching the flyer. Am I able to share this amongst the communities? Now, technically, if she's mailing it to me, it's confidential in relation to the mail. But, she doesn't specify that in the mail. So I could have just shared it, I suppose. Quite frankly, a few minutes in, I did. And, a list of mails, a number of mails ensued. But what annoyed me was the initial response to that. That I must please keep in mind. And the wording is completely poor, but either way. An entire MACO, and she goes to specify 11 members plus the mayor. Hear that? Plus the mayor. As well as an entire cabinet, 10 members plus the premier are involved in these events. Okay? First point. Excluding the remainder of the senior officials, that's 25 plus diaries which are under constant and immense pressure, for the most part ever changing, which I have to consider. Wow. That's one way to raise your profile. To give me an excuse. Because let's face facts. How bad are you at your job? Not Haley, but Alan Wendy, as the person who I then later went to go and research, initiated this in 2019 because of some oak that came from overseas and noticed the first Thursdays and the whole industry started doing it, yada, yada, yada. Alan Wendy, the premier, initiated this. So 5 years ago, I think July 2019, I can't remember the specific date. The first one was in August from what I skimmed through the reading. So your aim was to have this regularly, okay? In October when I engaged with and it might actually be Haley, to be honest. I don't know who I engaged with. Can't remember. Didn't really take note, don't care. Be fair. It was a regular every month. First Thursday of every month. So, the argument, the bullshit statement, there's an entire MACO and the whole cabinet and there's 25 plus diaries which she has to consider, this Haley Root. And I'm saying, if you know it's every first Thursday of every month, why is that not populated in everyone's calendar for the year? For the next 5, 10, 20 years? Even if your email is destroyed eventually because you are now no longer in office, who cares? Why not just click add reminder, first Thursday of every month, end date, infinity. Or make it outside of your perceived, life. Because it's set in stone. Then it's in everyone's calendar. Then what immense pressure and ever-changing things need to be considered. If that was your endeavor, and that's where my argument, I won't say anger, my frustration is with the premier and the mayor. You've set this in stone, but it's such a mission to arrange this for all of you. It's set in stone. First Thursday, every month, for the foreseeable future. And probably when the PA takes over, or the ANC takes over, they'll just go, well, what is this cuck? Not going to bother. Fine, that's down the line. The citizens will hold them accountable for that. But you fail on your own system, and then you want to say you're the best run province and city in the country. If I score 75% and the next person scores 76%, they are first in the class. They're the best, but not by much. So, when you make statements, can you quantify that? You are the best run by how much? 0.01%? Because this is a simple example. It's set in stone. First Thursday every month. Right? November's the last. December, January, I can argue it's festive season. I would be interested. First Thursday of December is still busy time. You know, let's set it up for the festive period. Remind people, guys, be careful. Use it as an awareness opportunity. No, November is most likely the last one. We'll see if there's one in December. Maybe. But this bullshit excuse from Hailey. And then she goes on to say, I'm an absolute moron. We have been doing these events for a very long time. And experience has provided us with many learnings. But one of them hasn't been to put that date in everyone's calendar, you moron. What have you learned? Advertising long in advance is a logistical nightmare to manage. So you're just lazy, is all I read. And this is the theme amongst public servants. Laziness. Excuses. In the event of a last-minute diary and event change, as by then your message would have travelled far beyond your control, Hailey says, bearing in mind that the invitation is open to all. Again, why would the diaries change if you specify, as the Premier, this initiative is to engage with the people, and we are setting it in stone, first Thursday of every month. And to be honest, even if it's on a public holiday, you will get people coming. Do you expect 2 million people to come to your event? No, but those that are genuinely interested will come. It's like my channel. I don't care if 65 million people don't watch. I'm only there to reach 0.001% of 65 million, which is 650. When I do a live, always above 650. Live. Never mind the playbacks. That's when people have an opportunity because they've been busy. You can't expect, 2 million people to rock up, 15 million people to rock up. That's a bit unrealistic. Maybe broadcast it on Zoom and you may just reach more. But the point is here, with try and get this across through Hailey's thick skull. They've learned so much, but they haven't learned to put that date in everyone's calendar, especially the 21, she says 25 plus diaries, but the 21 who are meant to be present. Now, there were more than 21 city officials there. And let me just go into what happened in October. Right, we're going to start at 5. 5:01 rolls around, we're still testing. 5:02 rolls around, we're still testing. 5:10 rolls around, they're still testing. There you already failed. But you've been doing this, as Hailey says, for a very long time. And experience has provided us with many learnings, but none of them included actually starting on time either. You're telling me everyone was caught by surprise? Best run city, my ass. People are using terms very loosely here. At best run is starting to, get watered down, diluted into absolute BS. Past 5 still hadn't started. Then slowly, the system, we're trying to see if the system's going to work. You've been doing this for 5 years. And even in this mail from this public servant, she states, we have been doing these events for a very long time and experience. You're just proving my point. What qualifies any of you people as competent enough to say or do what it is you are saying and doing? Now, this isn't me being brutal. I'm just not even scratching the surface. I'm just stating the obvious and the facts here. Now remember I said 3 days, that's poor communication, and this is her response. This was her response. Advertising long in advance. But we know, again, first Thursday, every month. Is that not what's stated? And so far, that will be proven because I was there on a Thursday. And let's just go and check. What date was that? I'll go and confirm. That was the 3rd of October. Let's just do a quick check. Was that in fact the 3rd of October? Let's see. I think I posted it on my channel. Oh wait, there we go. What's the date here? 3rd of October. First Thursday of the month. 7th of November. First Thursday of the month. That's already a trend. Although I generally work on 3, but that's already a trend. So, again, an example of where a public servant tries to pull the wool over your eyes, bombard you with irrelevant BS to try and distract you from the obvious, to make themselves look in the clear. But it's just excuses and laziness, because it's such a lot of work, because it's beyond your control. There's so many things you must consider. This is an example where there's not much to consider. You instruct everyone to put it in their calendar. First Thursday every month for the foreseeable future. If they are not there, because people need to be accountable and take responsibility for themselves, you discipline them. Because if that's what we are going to do, leave things up to the people we vote in to manage for the 65 million of us, then we have ourselves to blame, not them. Now, I, for one, it's impossible for me to blame myself. Or rather, I don't do things that could go wrong myself. Because how am I going to blame myself? I'm going to sit there and be all depressed and sad and, oh yeah, this didn't work because I messed it up. It doesn't help anyone. So we need to hold them accountable. They must be responsible. So if they don't rock up, discipline them. You're letting your citizens down. You are grown-ass individuals. So that renders first part of Haley's mail null and void. Social media across 6 platforms has an instant reach, hence the events are very well attended. The turnaround time of 3 days is therefore suffice. Oh, the English. And lends itself to less of a risk in terms of cancellations and or changes. What a bullshit statement to make. I think I consider myself the Joe Rogan of South Africa. What a bullshit statement to make. Yes, social media is instant. But if people have prior appointments, you're not going to get those people. The support you see, it's well attended. Half the police force is there. I guarantee you, if I had to count the people waiting, and I can quickly count them in my mind, 10 seats wide, 10 seats deep, 200 people. Right? Let's be fair, 300 people. How many of those people actually were there in terms of support staff and staff? I guarantee you around about the same number. 200 people, Haley wrote. 200 people out of a community that has, let's actually go and check this. Grassy Park. Yeah, I'm the most connected person in the world. Grassy Park, population. Population as at 2011, 19,000. Now, the one that was held in Grassy Park was open to anyone. I mean, people came from Steenberg, people came from Tableview. I saw, white faces. I'm going to be blunt here. Politically correct can go and suck it. Faces that would certainly not be from Grassy Park, or Steenberg, or Retreat, or Southfield. They came from across the railway line. Or they came from very far south. Marina de Gama, Capricorn, Westlake, Lakeside, Muizenberg. Came to Grassy Park, right? 19,000 people in Grassy Park, 200 people there. Maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. Even if it was 1% of the people, that would be 190. 10%, 1,900. There was not 1,900 people there. So, these statements is like the best run city, it's well attended. Open-ended statements. Vague as F. So again, social media, yes, we all know it's instant. Duh. But if someone has an appointment, they're going to have to shuffle. Now, I've made the 7th of November my calendar point, which brings me to my argument of how poor communication is amongst communities, because their AGM is also, oh, our AGM's on the 7th. Oh, we have a CPF AGM on the 7th. Oh, we have this and that on the 7th. But if we all really knew about this long time and we all had the experience and we had many learnings, which clearly isn't the case because it hasn't reached everyone, then we would know, oh, don't have something on this, it's first Thursday. Now we have the same problem in motorsport. There's an event today. I get asked if I'm coming to this meetup. No, because there's an event at the track. Yo, but this is important. But the track's been out for the last year, the calendar. Which just proves my point. No one is actually mindful of the next one. There are so many points. It's ridiculous. You know, the invitation is open to all, hence you can share. Okay, I have shared it. Thank you very much. And then she goes on to say she's omitted Bianca from the mail, as she has not been in the WCG's employ for 4 years now. But it's still on the internet, written in ink. And it can be amended, or it can be condemned and redirected to an updated thing. I mean, I'll post that in the community page for you all to go and see these details. That's how I came across this person. So I got to the right person. 50% of that contact was correct between the two of them. And I got the information. But, and I said, from the onset, my response was, please, let's not start with excuses. If this is something you endeavor to do on the first Thursday of every month, then courtesy would dictate that everyone mark those and other recurring dates in their diaries and plan around that. Does that not make logical sense? This just goes to demonstrate the fault with governments. If there's one thing I can't tolerate, it's excuses where there shouldn't be. It's an insult to those who are vulnerable, and trust me, that is not me. Thank you for your engagement. Now I know not to in the future, because she's an absolute waste of time and space. Right? And that's where it completely went downhill. So, Haley's response, sir, no excuses here. Respectfully, you inquired and I answered. No, you didn't. I inquired and you proceeded to give me excuses. What relevance is that? It's like when I dealt with ward councillors. You have a meeting, an appointment with them for 10 o'clock. I expect to be in front of you by 10. Starting at 10. No, you've still got another meeting running over. You know what? Your poor time management is a reflection on your level of respect for yourself and for me. And all the years, if I have a meeting at 10 and I'm not there, I have no worries with people walking out because I've disrespected them. Likewise, if I come to a 10 o'clock meeting and there's no one, I walk. I don't care. You can say and jump up and down as much as you want. The meeting was for 10 o'clock. Oh, it changed. Where did you communicate that? Oh, we couldn't get hold of you. Bullshit excuse. Did you send me a message? Did you send me a WhatsApp? Did you send me an email? Did you call me? If you couldn't get hold of me, did you leave a voicemail? Then you can say you've contacted me. I mean, for everyone that's been, oh, he tried to contact you, I ignore them from that moment on. And they'll probably message me in a year's time. Yo, I haven't heard from you forever. You will never hear from me. Because don't waste my time. Correct. And I didn't even read the rest of the mail. The first line alone pissed me off. No excuses here. And correct, we endeavor to do it, and we have every year since inception. You are just cementing my argument, Hailey. Why is it not in everyone's calendar for the rest of time? Whoever is involved in it. So what if you are organizing this? Because that's what I'm basing on the mails. It's ever changing, which I have to consider. So she must be someone that is involved in this and invested in it. So then you're not doing your job. That's all I see. Because you endeavor to do it, and we have but you've been doing it cuck. I request that you treat me with the same courtesy and respect, although you came with a groundless attack from the onset, as I have given you. What? I don't know what that statement means, but I can take segments from that. I gave you the respect until you gave me bullshit answers. Because that's technically human nature. We're going to cover ourselves, we're going to make the excuses. And like I said, almost every single public servant, I'll see what the next ones do. And I guarantee it'll be the same. Because that's all I've gotten. Deal with the ward councillor, late. Fine, deal with the ward councillor staff. Now the ward councillor wants to get involved because why are you not speaking to me? Because when I try and speak to you, then it's constant excuses. Oh, I've got so much work. People coming in and out of my office whole day. I can't get to my work, and I've got to be at a meeting 5:30. In that specific engagement, I asked this ward councillor, and to be blunt, Marita Peterson, I asked her, you need to be where 5:30? Falls Bay, Fishhook, Cork Bay. It's 5 o'clock. How are you going to get there in traffic? So you're bullshitting me. That's all these people do. Bullshit. Bullshit and more bullshit. Cow shit. Giraffe shit. It's just shit. Just like this woman, Hayley. That's all I've ever gotten from public servants. Just to digress a bit, I engaged with the ARA in the last few weeks as well to say, hey, are you guys aware of what's going on in your area? You championing for the people to vote you into power? Oh, we don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, and you expect people to vote for you, but you don't even know what's happening in your own community. That is bad. That is bad. So how do you expect me to have any respect for people that do not respect those that they are meant to serve? I guarantee if I go to the ACDP and the ANC, I'll get the same BS. But it just goes to show you, people do nothing until it's voting time, 5 years' time. Hey, we're going to put flyers on light poles. It's ridiculous, man. The choice to attend or not is entirely up to you. That's got nothing to do with my engagement. Please consider the matter dealt with. That is all that the typical human individual does. Get defensive, and now I don't want to deal with this. You have no choice when it comes to someone like me. Because I will hold you accountable to the highest. And if you want to go to court, we can go to court. Prove to me that you did not deserve my disrespect for giving me a bullshit answer that was given in mails ahead of that. And I responded and I said, this is something public servants need to understand. You are going to struggle when we start to weed out those who make excuses over those who actually focus on doing their work. We are starting with those closest to the community, ward councillors, and we'll work our way up. Your defensiveness confirms the truth in my words, and we haven't even scratched the surface, Hayley. And I sent her the link to this podcast. I was like, hey, maybe you should listen to this, because it's going to go live. And then we get that typical, for lack of a better word, colored attitude. It's my people, so I can say what I want. Everyone is my people, because I'm not using it racistly or derogatively. I'm stating a fact. That is my colored people. You make whatever makes you happy. It's not about what makes me happy it's about what's right and wrong. You send this out 3 days ahead of it, then you get little people, then you say, oh, but no one came, but we put it out on all the social media. What does that mean? Just because things go viral doesn't mean it's qualitative. It's quantitative, yes. Numbers, but numbers mean nothing. Absolutely nothing. I get a view. Wow, I got 1,000 views. A view gets counted when it's 30 seconds. But something I put out there gets 400 hours of watch time. That's significant. If you take 1,000, let's go and work that out live. Hopefully my math isn't the problem here. Right? 1,000. So we've got 500 minutes. If that's correct. Yeah, 30 seconds times 1,000 divided by 60. Oh, my math is actually still not bad. 1,000 views at 30 seconds, 500 minutes. All of 8 hours. I'm not interested in views. I'm not interested in numbers. I'm interested in the quality. Because the quality will result in quantity down the line. So, Hayley, whatever makes me happy, she says. Okay, great. So I really have no interest in whatever it is you have sent. This is my final request for you to stop spamming my mail. No, unfortunately not for you. Because you've shown me that you are no better than the rest of the arseholes that are in positions that we voted you in for, directly or indirectly, where you are pulling out tax-paying money as a wage just to waste our time. No. Unfortunately for you, public servant is very different to the rest of us. And I said that, did I not? Let's go. Unfortunately for you, it is a matter that affects your responsibility within your role to us as the public, Hayley. So it is very unfortunate that you are taking this stance. If your attitude was different, the outcome would be different. It is not about spamming. This is your official role's mail address, not your Gmail account. Please note, nothing that has been communicated thus far has been without prejudice. So it is all for use in court. Because if that's where you want to go, my dear, that's where I will take it. No one is safe from me. In the High Court, a registrar gives me BS, I go to her chief. The same attitude. I refuse to deal with you. That's unfortunate for you because you have no choice to deal with me. You have no choice but to deal with me. And I said, yeah. That said, your opportunity to engage has come and gone. But I will note your superior and engage them when I'm done attending to the other matters for city's attention. Right? You do what you feel you need to, sir. My official address is for official use, not to be harassed. I'm sorry, that was official use. Just because you feel and are emotional is irrelevant. Take the emotion out of it. Do your work. I have requested you 3 emails ago to stop and you persisted. Please ensure that you engage the correct superior. Any further communication received from yourself will not be opened, read, or responded to. That's fine by me. So, please be so kind as to advise your superior. And, as she said, she didn't reply. So great, I took that mail and I forwarded it to Alan Windy, the Premier's office, to her, to Faiza Steyn, Regan Thor, Robert Shaw, Harry Malila, Tammy De Decker. And I said, good day, sir. Since you and all those I've included in this mail are part of a public enterprise, where can I find the reporting structures, as it appears your colleagues, albeit subordinates, are flippant? I cannot and refuse to tolerate excuses for subpar operations. I certainly hope you or someone in your office obliges before I escalate the matter publicly, which is what I'm doing now, because I have the right to. But I actually meant way more public, which is coming. So I get a nice response from Harry, which is a surprise considering it's after 4. But 24/7 technologies. You would expect that 30 years into democracy. Dear Dominic, thank you for your mail. Can you please indicate how we can assist you with a query? And I respond, Good day, Harry. This has escalated to me needing to know the structures and the systems, as it is becoming apparent that public servants fail to understand their position in whichever office and whatever level they may be, and resort to lectures and excuses to worm their way out of being accountable and taking responsibility for choices. That is Haley. That is Marita Peterson. That is JP Smith, who hopefully I get to meet in a few weeks' time. But we'll see. That is most every public servant I've come across. And not just in political offices. Like I said, from the blue collar all the way up to the white collar. These guys think it's a free-for-all out here. The last month has seen me being fed information to shut me up, at the very least falsely put my mind at ease, from what looks to be the hope that I forget about the matters in question, along with probable lies by some. By that I mean Marita Peterson, to be clear. Time will tell, but I have started a separate engagement to establish what is true from the untrue. So let's start at local provincial structures and systems. Where can I get information on the City of Cape Town and WCG structures? Please direct me as you work within these. Right? And all I get from area is the websites. So now, hopefully if I go to those websites, I can click and find the organograms. Because that's what I'm looking for. Now, a lot of people may not know that, but no, I didn't know that. That's what I learned over the years. But that's what I meant. Direct me. Not to the website, you jackass. I said structures and systems. And, what am I going to do with the website? So do I need to explain everything down to the last word? Are these people really that ignorant and remedial? Did I need to say organogram? I mean, if I did, I truly apologize. I'm sorry you're stupid. But, he has open-ended that and let me know if you require any specific information. So I will get down that way. But yeah, Haley. Who's your superior, Haley? And I don't want to say. But I've now given you the chance. So I will find that out. And unfortunately for you, email is black and white. And you've demonstrated clearly your approach to your job and your role. And how serious it really is to you to serve the public. Absolute joke. Absolute joke. Now, I mean, that yesterday pushed me to the point where I was like, I'm sorry, I need to have this. Need to get this off my mind. It's not the only thing on my mind. There are so many other things on my mind. I made some notes because I've been trying to do this sort of off the cuff, just live as we go. But one of the points I made there was, how do you have a known event but you can't make it? And if you look at, again, this upcoming First Thursdays, it's clear on that flyer, which I've posted on my channels, my WhatsApp channels. It says there, I'm using too much bandwidth at the moment. Oh, let's go to another device. See what I mean by connected? Most connected person in the world. So, I see something else, but let me tackle what I wanted to tackle. If you look clearly on the upcoming one, due to a prior engagement, the mayor is unavailable for this event. What is more prior than something that happens every first Thursday of every majority month of the year, rather, for the last 5 years? Just proves my point, doesn't it? Calling all residents, come to something that the mayor's not even going to be at. But why isn't it in his calendar since 2019, July, when this was announced? As you add people to the project, right, please, first Thursday of every month for the rest of your life, we are here doing this. Where it may be, that will be updated in due course, but it will be, so ensure that your time is allocated to that. That goes to show me how much the mayor respects you as a citizen, respects me as a citizen and our time. I'm sorry. That is inexcusable. What prior engagement? That started in June of 2019. If it was set then, I could argue. I understand. In my calendar, it's already set. First Thursday, every month, for the rest of my foreseeable 46 years left on this planet. It's first Thursday. And if the political party changes and it doesn't happen, we're going to say, I'm sorry. Every first Thursday, we would like to see you and engage with you. So, Jordan Hill Lewis, that is absolutely disgusting. Whatever your excuse is, I honestly don't care. I honestly don't care. If it's your anniversary, you can have that later at night. Your sexy time. Even death. Sorry. People die every day. It was a huge disappointment to me that, in the last 3 weeks, I think there have been notices on this residents association group. Oh, this one's passed, that one's passed. So does the world come to an end? No. It is now the next day. It is now a week later. And we still have no resolution to the things that we could have discussed because no one rocked up due to a memorial. But the dates for things were set well in advance of a death. Ridiculous. Got some requests here from people for links that'll have to wait. Yeah, Haley wrote, people are steek gefriet in email. That's the note I made to discuss. And then I posted something on my status. You would think public servants have the best perspective of the challenges facing communities, with most having come from impoverished areas. No, these people are ridiculous. And the fact that we allow it, I'm going to have to place the blame on some of us, if not all of us. I see someone in my chat there. DJ, how's it going, brother? I'm going to see if I can get your email. I think, just let me know if you've been invited to the live for Sunday, if you're still listening. But yeah, it's ridiculous. That's just some of what's on my mind. I'm still trying to feel all of this out. Do I have a daily? Do I have a weekly? Daily, I could do, but I have so much to do. I need to try and find out what will suit. Find a compromise that works for everyone, and I've put that out in there to the community, and everyone has said, for the Carnival Worldwide's live, a Sunday would be best. Do it once a week. 8 o'clock works fine. It's fine by me. These are even private. So, yeah, we want to weed out the kokorotte. Because I don't need that channel to be defamed or dragged through the mud by people who have agendas and egos, when all we're trying to do is ensure that all of us benefit. Somehow they don't seem to see that. They seem to see money. That's a separate discussion we could have. Money is part of everything, but if it's your priority, you have problems. It's certainly not my priority. But yeah, I don't know, I've been chatting now for almost more than 2 hours actually. Didn't expect to, but don't know. Do a 3-hour stint, go to 11. Do I have more to say? Not really. I've got clearly quite a few messages to respond to, and some of them are from the communities, and some of them are from individuals, so I need to get to that. It is a Friday, my usual off day, like a Monday and a Wednesday. So yeah, thank you for listening. I will see you, I don't know, maybe Friday mornings I can make this a thing. We'll see. I'm still trying to figure out what works. I'll put it out there and let you decide what works. I'm easy. I'm flexible. I'm happy to compromise. Something that a lot of people need to learn to do. But yeah, guys, have a good weekend. Tune in tonight if you're into nutrition, health, and lifestyle things. I've been on a program, well, just aimed at improving my competition levels in sport, but it can be used by almost any and everyone to improve their quality of life. So that's 6 o'clock on the Blink Beck. In fact, I will post a link to it and see from there. Hopefully I get to see you guys there, or hear you, or engage with you somehow. I'll pop it in the chat, I'll pop it in the comments, and yeah, tune in. Thank you so much. Please share, please subscribe, like if you do like, comment if you want to comment. Chat is open, as you can see. A subscriber there from the Carnival Worldwide, DJ, posted. So yeah, let's engage. I think I've not focused on this at all, and something perhaps I could have been focusing on in my adult life. But having noticed things, having had my eyes opened, engaging with people in the last 4 or 5 years, trying to revive this project that I started in 2008. It's opened me up to a lot more challenges than what I already saw that there were. So, perhaps people have had good intention, but to be blunt, cuck execution. That's a possibility. But yeah. Hope to see you guys tonight on the Blink Beck. I think if you search for it, I don't know if it'll update anything, but let's just see if I search for Blink Beck. Yeah, search for Blink Beck and it will come up right on top. Please subscribe there as well. Please tune in, watch listen to some of the podcasts, and see. Again, have a good day. Enjoy the rest of the day. And I will do this again next week, Friday. Cheers.